mic is muted.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The GOAT, where we talk about everything GOAT related. And last week we had an amazing episode. We had Christy Cook, who is a mother of two children that are athletes, and she talked about the struggles that she had, moving from place to place, them adapting and changing and having to adjust, and the mental stress that took on them. So tonight's show, we have a GOAT of the GOAT show that is going to be our guest. And she really shouldn't be our guest. Julie Hall is the runner of the GOAT and the runner of Triumph and everything related to Triumph. Julie is my mentor, my business mentor, my personal mentor, my friend. And she has came into Triumph and made it what it is.
My goodness.
Everything about Triumph, because I was like trying to make this work myself. And we all know as entrepreneurs, we know as people, that doesn't work. So Julie came in and provides everything that I can't. So thank you, Julie, for being on the show tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And so
quite an introduction.
You know what? Tonight, I'm so excited that you're on the show because tonight is you've been collecting like questions from different viewers and you've been gathering different information and questions that you want to ask. And I want to go into, Julie, that I am not the all-knowing and the wise and any of that. When I'm answering these questions, I want everybody to know out there that I'm taking my best shot at it and giving you advice based on the knowledge that I have, but it's not, don't necessarily go out and do it based on what I say tonight.
Don't try this at home.
Right, exactly. Right. So, but I am so excited to be able to talk about these questions that people have sent in. And if you have any questions, oh, wait.
Yeah, I see one.
Wait, says your mic is muted.
No, that was me. You're good. That was when it first started. Yeah, you're good.
Oh, all right.
Uh-oh, Kevin's asking if he can ask me questions.
Yeah.
Just don't make them too hard, Kevin.
Why did I bring on the GOAT? You better not ask me anything too technical, and everything goes to her technical.
No.
Thank you for asking, Kevin. But Julie has lined up these questions that she's going to ask, and we're going to discuss tonight about challenges that people have. And it's not necessarily athletes. It's anybody that's having challenges in their life that want to perform or want to do something at a higher level. That's what we want to help people do. And that's what I spent my life doing, is helping people to perform. All people, addicts, people that are business people that want to perform at a higher level, people that are mothers, people that are, well, pretty much anybody that wants to perform and do something at a higher level. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. Julie, are you ready to start ripping the questions?
I am. So this first one came from a mom, and I'll just call her DB. But her question was, ever since COVID has forced all of us to be more of homebodies, my daughter has been spending more time in her room than usual. She seems to have lost interest in seeing her friends. So should I force her to be with her friends right now? And if so, how do I do that?
Wow, that's a tough question. Because how was your child prior to COVID? Was she very shy, didn't get out much, really struggled with anxiety? Or was she fairly well adjusted and then that happened during the COVID time when she's been away from people? And I got to say, I've been facing that question quite a lot with athletes and people that I'm working with. It's the anxiety that they're feeling basically getting back into their routine and going back to school. It's like you've been locked in your room, you've been locked away and not been able to interact and doing all your studies online. And then we're asking you to go back and interact with people that you haven't seen for a long time. And your anxieties are high. And that's happening with so many kids that I've been working with.
Yeah, I'm hearing it a lot. How would you force them? I guess you wouldn't force them. You would encourage them.
Encourage them. Yeah, you probably wouldn't force. You would probably want to try to get them to, well, and this is the big one, is you got to talk to them about it. You got to talk to them about the anxieties that they're feeling. You've got to go there, those hard questions. What's going on with you? What is happening inside? Let's go talk about it, because usually the anxieties are based on the unknown, or based on the looking in the future and worrying and being stressed. And so it's like she's got these things going on. How is she dealing with them? How is she talking about them? Is she avoiding dealing with those situations? So one of the best things that a parent can do is to start some dialogue and start asking some questions.
That makes me think of a question. And you and I have talked about it a lot, but I think it's a good question for other people, is how do you get your child to talk, especially as teenagers, when you ask them and they go, oh, I don't know, or it's okay, or, those kinds of answers. How do you get them more engaged and actually to open up to you to share what's going on with them?
Right. And that's not an easy skill.
Took you how many years?
It only took me 30 years, and I'm touching on it.
Right.
No, I think the big thing with that is they've got to feel safe in the environment, and you've got to actively listen. You can't just interrogate. They don't know what's going on. So you got to learn a skill. You got to learn how to listen. This sounds bad, but like a therapist in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wow, what's that like for you? Tell me more about that. That sounds really hard. Wow. And so you're not fixing, you're not telling them what to do. You're not judging them. You're not doing those kinds of behaviors. It's, wow, what's going on? And not whenever we judge and whenever we try to fix and tell them what to do, what do you think the first thing that they're going to do? Boom. It's like, you know what? Don't tell me what to do, and I'm not broken. And so it's like the only way to help a child with those kind of things is to truly listen, and to listen, to use like an active listening skill. And that takes some practice.
And I think it takes time too. Like if you haven't been doing that and then you start, they're not maybe going to fully trust that that's what you're doing, or they don't know what the heck's going on. Like, why is mom talking like this now? Like a therapist now. So it might take some time for them to like trust that that's what you're doing now, if you hadn't been doing it in the past.
100%. You are right on with that one. So, and so that's a big piece to it, finding out the root of the anxiety. But if you can't, there's professionals that's what they do.
Right.
And it does take years of learning for us to be able to do that. But you know what? I can't do it with my daughter, Julie.
Well, it's so much harder when you're emotionally attached, because you do want to fix. If they're upset or sad or anxious or whatever the negative emotion is, you want to try to fix it. You want them to feel better. So I just think that just kind of goes with the territory of being a parent, and maybe even more so a mom, maybe.
Well, it's both.
Both. Yeah. Well, dads are fixers too. Yeah.
I know all the damage that it causes, and I still try to help my daughter when she's struggling. And and it's like, no, Jeff, you got to be there for her when she is struggling. You got to be there unconditionally and support her. I know that, but it's that instinct of, but I don't want her to hurt.
Right. That's a hard one to overcome.
It really is.
It really
It
is. I still
really,
don't know that I have that down, but my kids are grown, so it's not the same kind of thing, but it's still a great skill to learn just in normal human interaction with
yeah,
people, just
yeah.
to listen in that way.
To get really good at listening is a gift because it's
It
like,
is.
everybody wants to tell their story
And be
and
heard.
be
Uh,
heard, and your
yeah.
kids want to be heard. And one of the things that we don't do is truly listen to our kids.
Hmm.
I mean, we tell them so often, you're doing this, and I want to protect them from this, and I've got to do this. And it's like, no, you got to really listen to what's going on with them to know what's really going on with them.
Let's see. Kevin, I'm trying to do both here, look and listen and everything. So bear with me a minute.
I,
But
I
it looks like,
see it. This probably applies to marriages too.
yeah, let me put it up
No,
here.
not at all. You don't want to listen to your spouse
Ever.
ever.
It-
And what I find is that's where most successful relationships are, is they just never listen to each other. No, I'm just kidding. Kevin, that is so true. You know what's really interesting though is spouses have to go step by step together. Because if one is a great listener and the other one isn't, then they'll get power. It'll be an unequal relationship because they'll know everything that's going on in this person's life, but they won't know anything about this person. So the value of being in a marriage, Kevin, and actively listening is huge, but you got to make sure that you're both doing it together. She's listening to you, you're listening to her, and it goes up together.
Mhm. Very true.
Really? Did you have any more questions that we have to answer? Did we only
Yeah.
have one?
No, actually, I had a couple more.
All right.
And I kind of grouped them. This is another question from a mom. This is mom, we'll call her Mom SS. She wrote, I know this may sound weird, but when I praise my daughter after her volleyball games, she seems irritated by it. What's that all about?
Ooh.
Hmm.
Yeah. Great question.
What is that all about?
There's all kinds of levels that could be playing in there. She feels the need to please you, or she feels like you're not shooting her straight. And if she didn't play that well, then, or she feels like she didn't play that well, and you try to, oh no, I thought you did really great. She's like, I can't believe my mom. I can't believe what you just said. And so there's so many little intricacies. That's a tough word for me to say. Did you hear me say
Yeah,
that?
you did it. You nailed it.
Yeah, baby. So, but it's like the pressure that we put on our kids at times, we don't even know we're doing. That by praising our child often, guess what we're creating? A people pleaser. When I say great job doing this, great job, way to be, that was wonderful, then they're going to look at us and for everything that they do. Oh, did I get my dad's approval? Did he give me the praise that I want? Did he? So whenever we start praising people and giving them too much praise, there's consequences to that. Our children especially, because they want that praise.
Is there a right way to do it?
Yeah, acknowledge their effort, the the attitude that they brought to the table. They ask them questions like, what did you learn from that? That was such a great performance. What did you learn? And whenever you can acknowledge the effort, the performance, the attitude, the things that really matter. The performance is just a byproduct of what really matters to an athlete and to a human being, to a kid. It's like when we praise, oh, did you see you did this and you did this and you did this? They're always going to want that. And what we're trying to create is independent children. So it's like, hey, how did that feel when you climbed that hill? How did that feel when you hit that home run? What was that like for you? What was that like for you when you struck out? Was that hard? Tell me about that. So when we have these like trying to live vicariously through our children, like this is our sports experience. It's not. It's theirs. What is best for them? What do they want? Do they want to be an elite athlete? I was talking to a kid the other day and I said, how good do you want to be? And he's looking at coming to me and he's like, I really don't care. He said, I just like being on the team and hanging out, and I've got anxieties, and I just want to be on the team and hang out and be with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally cool.
Right.
But if you've got anxieties that are keeping you from that, there's help for that. You can fix that. But that was his goal, is I just want to be on the team. That is so cool, because not everybody wants to spend their every waking hour training for a sport or training to be great at something. Some people I just want to be part of it. I want to be play. But the parents think they got to be better. They got to work harder. They got to do this. If that's what the kid wants, yeah, that's cool. But if it's not what the kid wants, you know what? It's not your dream. It's not your life. You lived yours. You didn't, whatever you did in sports is over. This is their journey.
Right. I think just being a part of it is good. I mean, having some sort of extracurricular that they're out there and socializing and doing things like that. They don't have to be the next Kobe Bryant or whatever, because that level of commitment is pretty strict, to get to that. And a lot of sacrifices have to be made also.
The number one reason that kids drop out of sports is it stops becoming fun. And it stops becoming fun when the pressure is put on them to win.
Right.
When it becomes about the winning. If you can get a kid and this is where I see some athletes. This is the Patrick Mahomes. I can't say all of the ones this is the ones that are playing just because it's fun, and they keep playing because it's fun. And if you can help your athlete create that, they're going to be the great athletes. They're going to be the ones that perform at the high levels because they're not feeling the pressure and they're not doubting themselves all the time and comparing themselves and dealing with it's like, no, they're the ones, hey, this is a game. It's a sport.
Right. And even if they're not great, so what?
Right.
So what at that level, especially?
Right. Well, and if you set your goals and what you want and how much you want to put in, that's what it all comes down to. People come to me for peak performance, and it's like, how much effort do you want to put in is basically how good you're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to put in a lot of time and energy to this? If you do, you can be great. I guarantee you, we can make pretty much anybody into a great athlete. But the work that it takes is unreal.
Right. And the sacrifices. I think a lot of times people don't realize the sacrifices that have to be made. Once you put that amount of focus to something, other things aren't going to have that attention. And so there's always something that's going to lose out in that.
You are so right. Right on.
Yeah. With anything, anything that you commit to really is that way.
So I hope I answered that question enough.
I think so.
Give them the idea.
I think so. And if we didn't, then they can answer or ask another question. That would be great too. Yeah.
Ding us back. I don't know those technical words.
Hit us up or something. Yeah. We're showing our age.
Right.
Okay. Here's the next one. Okay. I forgot about this one. This is from JW. Now, this one is a very serious one.
Okay.
So get ready. JW wants to know how you do your read the mind trick. JW, we will have to kill you after this. Once we tell you, we'll have to kill you.
If we show you, and I know this was an ask you anything thing, but I will tell you, I would love to show you how to read minds. And I do some mind reading, and I do these tricks when I could tell a long story about this, but that's not the time right now. But I read minds, and it is, if you become a client of mine, you learn the trick.
Mm. Now, is this something that all therapists know how to do, or are you special in this way?
I think I have a gift. I'm like a Svengali. And
Mm.
I will also tell you that when I was, I'll shoot straight. When I was learning how to become a therapist, they had me working with these young kids, and I'm a wrestler from Iowa with no feelings. I went in there, I'm like, hey, what are you talking about? What do you feel? Tell me, tell me.
I'll break your arm if you don't tell
Yeah,
me.
I'll hurt you. So I started learning magic, and I did met with this kid, and I did a magic trick, and this kid opened up and spilled his guts and told me everything in the family, what was going on. I'm like, I think I'm onto something. So for like the last 30 years, I have been studying magic, and I've got some tricks that really help in the therapeutic process.
Some tricks up your sleeve, so to speak.
I'm magic.
Okay. I think, yeah, we can't really give away our trade secrets and stuff here. So we'll move
Right.
on to the next question.
Good.
Okay. Let's see. This one is MP is the name. MP wrote, since COVID started, my wife and I have started drinking more than we ever have. I'm feeling the need to start cutting back. The problem is my wife doesn't really feel the same. We have always been on the same page, but now it feels like we are looking at this differently. How should I handle this with her?
Yeah. Well, this is right now, it's an issue that is happening. You know, during COVID, I have heard so many stories about um, people drinking more, and not even necessarily are they um, alcoholics, or are they worried about that. It's just it's been part of their routine.
This boredom?
Yeah, boredom, and it was part of coping and part of dealing with all the change that was going on in the world and the fear of the unknown. And it's like, hey, we're just going to have a glass of wine tonight for dinner, and then you're home every night and you can do that. And hey, wow, you're home every day. It starts at 4 now because we're so
Yeah, because we're working from home. So, hey, happy hours at 3 now instead of 5.
and it has been happening a lot. And so, but what the advice that I could give is, this is part of what we do, is own our shit. You got to own your shit with your wife. You got to be honest and say, you know what, I'm concerned, I'm worried, express your feelings, talk about it. But if you don't shoot straight and you don't go there, then it is going to be that hidden problem. It's going to be that elephant in the room. Oh man, she's drinking more and more, and I really don't know if I want to, and I don't agree, but she's doing it. And so, you know, in any relationship, in any true partnership, you got to be real. You got to own your shit, and you got to show up and say the hard things. It's like, I love you, and I'm worried that you might be drinking too much. And it's not easy.
What if the wife doesn't think that she's drinking that much? Maybe it's one more glass than normal or something that's not really affecting her work or her relationships or anything like that. Is it still a problem? Can she just say, well, I'm sorry that you have a problem with it, but I don't. So I'm going to keep drinking.
And you know what? That's a really great point. But it can't be determined unless it's been discussed.
And then you guys have to just negotiate about it, I guess.
Right, exactly. It's a talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she might not, and she really might be in control of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just be something that the husband is worried about. But unless it's laid on the table, you can never go there. You can never have a resolution or a compromise. You know, and that's the way it is with most challenges in relationships, is you got to own your shit.
Right.
You gotta, you know what, shoot straight and say, this is what I'm feeling. You don't have to blame them. I think you're drinking too much. It's more like, I'm having a hard time adapting to this new drinking level that we both have kind of established, and I'm struggling and I'm trying to cut back. And if it's an issue with, if it's not an issue with you, that's cool. But it seems I don't want it to become an issue with me.
Right. And
It's
I
the I feel.
and it seems as though if it's an issue with one, it's probably going to be an issue with both of you at some
At
point.
some point,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
It will become at some point.
Right.
You're right on.
Okay. You done with that one, you think?
We did our best.
Okay. Yeah, with what we have. So that's good. That's good. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. This is more of a kind of a business question. This is from HH. He wrote, I turn bright red in situations at work where the attention is on me. I'm already a little shy, and when my face turns purple, it makes me even more embarrassed and nervous. How can I control this? I can relate to this one. So let's hear what you had to say.
You would be so surprised that how many people I've dealt with through public speaking, working with people in public speaking. And my field basically is helping people deal with anxiety. So it's like this issue is very, very common. And it all comes down to we can't control the physical responses to stress. It's like I would ask Julie, what tool do you use? Sir, what tool do you use to be able to control the physical responses to stress? Because they happen. They're happening to you. If you're turning red, if you're sweating profusely, if your heart rate is fluttering, if you get really panicked, it's like there's tools out there to be able to control the physical responses to stress now.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
Right, exactly. And I think, once you learn these tools also, it's like an ADHD cure. It's like all these tools to be able to focus, be able to relax on command, to be able to lower your heart rate by using like biofeedback tools. They've got all kinds of different devices out there now that will help you to be able to control those physical responses to stress. And it's like if you need an advanced technique for it, that's something that we have it's called relaxation on command. And it's like, it's a practice and a training that you go through, and you practice pairing being in a relaxed state to an anchor. And the more you practice that and the better you get at it, the faster you can go back to that state when you need to. And what that means is with athletes, it's like, let's say you had 3 bad golf shots in a row and you're freaking, you're panicking. It's like you need to be able to refocus and get that heart rate back in control. So controlling those physical responses to stress, anxiety, panic, those kinds of things is so valuable, and especially if you can do it on command. But that takes about 2 to 3 months of practice and training to be able to do that. And what I find is the people that do it are people that have panic attacks or people that are professional athletes and really want to take their game to the next level. Because if you can get your heart rate to 50 beats per minute, 55 beats per minute before you go into the batter's box. Most people are anxious, their heart rate's fluttering, they're nervous. It's like if you can control those physical responses to stress, that will change your game. It will change your game in golf. It will change it in baseball, pretty much any sport, if you can control your physical responses to stress. But it takes work.
It can help you just in life.
Oh.
It's a skill I wish I had known way back when I used to have the same problem as this. Somebody could just look at me and I would turn all shades of purple. My eyes would water. My armpits would just leak profusely and everything. And it got to be where I had almost trained myself to start in that response, the bad response, before anybody ever even talked to me. I would anticipate it. And then the next thing you know, poof, red, I would be
Right.
armpits red.
You know, and I've worked with people that have different responses too. Like they cough when they get anxious and they start getting the scratchy throat and they feel like they're going to throw up. And so all these different physical responses to stress can be controlled.
They can, and it's something I'm working on every day. Just that's long gone. Age kind of solved that one a little bit, so to speak. But just, anything can cause stress. If something happens with your kids or your spouse or just the world in general, and you find yourself getting keyed up, you can feel it, and then you just kind of have to, sit here and focus. And I myself think about my heart rate and physically like tell it to slow down.
Cool. You need to have a go-to. When you are in that situation, it's not the time to learn anything, or it's like, what's my go-to when I'm feeling this anxiety? Oh, I touch my anchor and it causes my physical response to relax. Some people can use Tai Chi. Some people can use meditation. Some people can use, there's lots of different techniques that people do to be able to get centered and to be able to relax and get into the flow. And that's where the zone is. I mean, you think about it with athletes. It's like, wouldn't it be cool, athletes, if you could get in the zone when you wanted to instead of waiting and hoping that you get in the zone? Most of the time I played, I wasn't in the zone. But those times that I was, it was like, wow, that was so cool.
Zen.
Yes, nothing else existed. I am in the flow.
Yeah. Well, that's the second piece that I'm working on is the anchor piece. I have be able to talk myself and bring it down, but I need to start working on the pairing so it does become more automatic.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's one of my goals is to actually learn that and achieve it, because I do think it's very valuable for life.
Really cool skill, especially if you struggle with anxiety. And I've realized like people have panic attacks, they'll practice it long enough because they're horrible.
Yeah. I've luckily, knock on wood, I've not had one of those, but it seems like it's a very common thing. So I feel like it's just a matter of time before I have one.
No, because you're learning the other way. You're learning the skills that will keep you from having them.
That's true. That is true.
So I love it.
Ward it off. Okay, let me get rid of this one. I think we only have one more.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is an easy one for you, I think. So GR wrote, I want to start riding a bike for exercise. I see that you ride your bike and love it and everything else. So what kind do you recommend?
Oh man, that's
tough because you don't know how they're riding. Where are they riding? Before you answer, I bet you people don't know this about you, that you were a professional, what do you call that? Mountain biker?
Mountain bike racer, yeah.
Yeah, mountain bike racer. That's something I'm sure most people do not know that you did.
No, and I kind of kept that part of my life secret.
Oh God. Sorry. Luckily there's only 3 people watching.
I will tell you why. It's an interesting story that goes with that.
Okay.
And then I'll get back to your question, whoever asked that.
That was GR.
GR. So when I wrestled, the whole time that I wrestled, played baseball, all the other sports growing up, I felt all this pressure to perform and to be so great and do all those kinds of things. And then my junior year in college, I blew out my knee. And one of the first things that they had me do was get on a stationary bike. So I started stationary biking, and my adrenaline and all that stuff, it was like, wow, I really like to do this. So I started biking, and I biked and I biked and I biked. But then I decided I wanted to go to a race. I was living in Michigan, and I didn't want anybody to know. I just wanted to go to a race just for me. And I didn't care if I came in first or last. It really didn't matter. So I got into this beginner bike race and won it. And so then I went on, I said, I'm going to try this intermediate. I mean, this is pretty cool. And so I went and I raced an intermediate bike race and won it and didn't tell anybody.
No pressure.
What?
There was no pressure.
None. And I was just having fun, and I didn't care if I won or not.
Mm-hmm.
I was just out having fun. And I think that's part of my transformation, as far as helping athletes and helping other people is, hey, you can do really good when you have fun. When it's about the fun and it's not about the pressure, and you take that off. So that was one of the reasons why I did that. So, I mean, as far as bikes, I'm a Gary Fisher guy. If it's a mountain bike, Specialized is a good bike brand. Trek's a good mountain bike brand. But what I would tell you, if you really want me to be honest with you, is what's really changed my life and what's probably saved my knee is a stationary bike in front of a TV. It's a recumbent stationary bike. I ride all winter, if I can't get out in the summer, it's just one of those things. It's so easy to do, and I can watch a 45-minute show and do my exercise, and I do curls with weights, and I do these kinds of things as I'm doing it. And it's like, it's probably saved my life.
How many miles do you think you've ridden on that bike? Does it keep track?
Oh, no, I've went through 2 or 3. I've had these stationary recumbent bikes forever, and I've always had them in front of my TV as long as I remember.
Just part of the decor.
Yeah, it's probably right after I blew out my knee in college is when I started having a stationary bike, and it's what I do, and I think it's just part of my exercise routine.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all of it. I still do other things, but I've always got my stationary bike and I can watch TV.
That's your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's your de-stressor and exerciser.
So are we ready for the GOAT tip of the week?
I think so. Let me double check here. Yeah, basically. I was going to ask a question, but we're already over.
No,
it's too depthy. I was kind of putting that in there in case we didn't have anything or anything. So it's a little too depthy, I think.
I love it.
So we'll just pass on it. Okay. So you ready for the GOAT tip?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. This is one of those really cool GOAT tips that I get to talk about. You know what? We're all dealing with anxiety. We're all dealing with stress and pressure. And one of the big things that we do is we hold it in. We don't own our shit. We don't lay it out there on the table and talk about it. And we think that it's going to go away. And it doesn't. By one of the only values that I provide to other people is they come in and they tell me about what's going on with them. And they own their shit when they talk to me. And you know what? They always walk out and they're feeling better. So pretty much it's like obvious to me when you own your shit and you get real with somebody and talk to them about the struggles, it's going to be better.
Yeah, it always feels better, I think, when you let it out. And sometimes it doesn't seem as big once you bring it to life and get it out of your head and kind of out into the real world. Sometimes it's not quite as big as what you made it out to be in your head. Almost always. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to ask our audience a couple questions. And, we try to bring value to you. We're going to bring professional athletes. We're going to bring high school kids. We're going to bring all types of different athletes. And we want your input. We want feedback from you on what's going to make this work. We want this to be of value to our consumers, which are you folks. And so we've got a few questions here that I want to ask, just a couple. First, what time would be the best for you to listen to the GOAT? I know that we can have it on YouTube and different places, but if you were wanting to listen to it and be live, when would be the best time for you? And next, if there's any topics of interest that you would like us to talk about on the go, we would love that. And if you know any athletes or any parents of athletes, we would love to interview them on the GOAT if they are GOATs. If they are outstanding in their field, they're trying their hardest, they're doing what it takes for them, we would love to talk to them. And the last one is, how can we get you to be real with us? How can we get you to own your shit with us? Right here, talk about the challenges that you face. You know, we're in this field. This is what we do. I'm not saying like we're great, but I'm saying it's free opportunity to talk about how to work with your kid and the challenges that you guys are facing. So I'm excited. Please give us feedback. We want to make this better and better. And Julie, thank you for being on the show tonight.
You're welcome. And if anybody has any information on any of those things that you just said, send me an email at the email that's listed there on the screen, and then we'll make it happen.
Thanks, Julie, for being on.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun. I'm trying to do both things over here, but that's okay. No, it was fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I'm happy. And we will see you next week, folks. Have a great week.
Bye.